Okay, hello and welcome once again to the Small Bear Show. I'm your host, Alex S. Johnson, aka a Small Bear, and my special guests today are the Elder Goths. And I've been in contact with Gina Schultz, and so I will, basically just tell you a little bit about what I do and why we're we're talking to one another. So I am an elder goth. I'm an OG goth, meaning that you know my participation in the goth community goes back decades. And I think I was about 19 or 20 years old when I was turned on to Bauhaus. And, ever since then, I've been in love with, everything to do with the dark. I was an early, I was in on the ground floor of Dark Angel magazine in Victoria, Australia, which it- it's literally they have the Library of Victoria, has that magazine in their special collections, right? So and I knew their editor and publisher, Osriel, who disappeared into I met her when she was an illegal immigrant. Okay, illegal immigration, yes. An illegal immigrant to the United States back in about, oh dear, I'm giving away our secrets, back in about 1998 or so. And then I met her, we went to the Beverly Center together, which was weird because you have this like raucous, Australian, girl with like, 16 earrings on each little piercings, ear piercings on each ear, right? And then we went to the Beverly Center, which was surreal in and of itself. And then we said goodbye, and then she disappeared into the wilds, only to reappear as the manager for Electric Hellfire Club. And
Whoa.
which and Electric Hellfire Club, Thomas Thorne and company went on tour with my friend Tara Vanflower from Lycia, and also with a little band called Typo Negative. So, um, so
I love
So,
that.
I've known and published, well, my first publication alongside Poppy Z. Bright, now Billy Martin, was in 1990, was it 1997, when then Poppy Z. Bright, Melissa Ann Bright, put out an issue of the Purple Prose newsletter, which contained extremely wrong, an extremely transgressive piece of autofiction called R.I.P., in which Poppy fantasized about having sex with William S. Burroughs' corpse. And I had a piece, an excerpt, Poppy excerpted an interview that I'd done with her collaborator and friend, Krista Faust, facing RIP, right? So that's how much of an OG goth I am. I was literally published in
Yes.
Purple Prose, newsletter. And now currently I work with and publish and have published. And, I'm still friends with Will Jarbo, obviously. And do you guys know Leslie Spivey from formerly of like Penis Flytrap, that band? They were like
A
a
local band?
super group. They were like Dinah Cancer. I forget her real name, but Dinah Cancer from 45 Grave, right? And
Yes.
she and Hal Satan, Lucifer Fulci, and Elvorian von Spivey had this band called Penis Flytrap. It was sort of like a death rock super group, right? So and I
Uh,
published Lucifer Fulci in my Black Sabbath tribute. So we published Lucifer Fulci, we published John Shirley, who wrote the movie The Crow, the real OG
uh,
Crow, right?
yeah.
We
Yeah.
published, Poppy Z. Bright wrote the foreword to our literary tribute to Morehouse. also was the introduction to our literary tribute to William S. Burroughs. Caitlin R. Kiernan, we've published about 7 times so far. And we also publish a little, a guy from a little known band called Bauhaus, who wrote a song about a dead Hungarian actor who kind of refused to stay put in his grave. I'm talking about, of course, David J. Haskins, and the song is Bela Lugosi's Dead. So we published all of these people. And so my special guests today are the Elder Goths, and boy, are we going to have some fun here. So tell me about the Elder Goths, how you got started, and um, I understand you're a cabaret synth band, and you play classical instruments as well as synths.
A little. So
Okay.
I've been involved in lots of different bands and like
And
goth is like my
also
roots.
identify yourself for my five
I'm
viewers.
Cassie. I'm
Okay.
Cassie Bishop.
Nice to meet you,
And
Cassie.
so I've been playing in bands like since I was about 20. And my like first band was a goth industrial band. And then I kind of explored different genres, but this was always like my root. So just kind of one day woke up and I'm like, I want to start a goth band. So
Yeah,
Gina reached out to me. She's like, I want to do it. And Gina is like my OG goth friend from the chamber.
nice.
So I'm like, yeah. And then we had another soprano singer that didn't work out. And then our girl Lauren here, beautiful soprano voice, we brought her in the mix. Yeah. And that's how it was formed.
Pandemic nostalgia.
And
I'm sorry.
Nostalgia.
And then
During the pandemic, the nostalgia for goth music was like rebounding for sure.
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
During the
really
pandemic, we were
interesting.
all so isolated. And I
Right.
remember like, reaching out to Cassie, like, I don't think we'll ever dance again. We'll
Oh
never be able to go
no.
anywhere, see anyone ever again. Like it was horrible. So I think the nostalgia was so real once things started coming back. And then that's when Cassie was just like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. Just all the goth nights popping up.
I just said it felt like the right time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will try not to interject and say, oh, I did this with this person and that person, but I will have to say that, okay, I was responsible for getting, speaking of sopranos, I was responsible for getting Sarah Jezebel Diva from Cradle of Filth on board with Zero Tolerance magazine.
Nice.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
Oh my
thank you.
gosh.
Yeah.
Like
So, and Sarah is awfully nice. She's an awfully nice gal. Anyway, so yeah, so I love these people. I mean, I have a great tender regard for, Billy Martin, this, Poppy Z Bride. He and his
same.
partner, his husband, Gray Anatoly Cross, really have a lot of health issues, and Gray just had, heart surgery. So, I just, you know what I mean? Like, give him a warm, squeezy hug and just wish him the best. So, Goth
Absolutely.
is a beautiful and gentle community, I think, of people who are trying to just, we prefer to, like my friend Terry B. Murphy, has this song, where she says, like, like the daylight bores me to death, right? And it's like, it's really true. I was born in Halloween, so it's sort of
We're
like
on Halloween.
I was born in
Wow.
Halloween, right?
How cool is that?
Of
Thank you.
course.
And I was like, well, I think I was sort of ready to to be who I turned out to be. And so, you know, so let's talk about like the allure of goth, because I remember just like I brought out some of the old, old magazines, the OG magazines, like Carpe Noctem, you know.
Oh yeah.
Remember Carpe
Yep.
Noctem, right? And my friend
Yes.
Mhm.
Caitlin R. Kiernan had some stuff in this one, not in this particular issue, but to the point where I actually unearthed a copy of it, and I sent it to her, and she didn't even have a copy herself. So,
Oh my
so
God.
That sounds about right.
right, all the old ads and vampire fangs, and you know, so like,
Oh,
what is it about
Fantastic.
goth, dark wave, death rock, whatever you want to call it, that is so appealing?
it feels like home.
Yeah,
It feels right. It just feels like home to me.
And I want to add that it's always been like the sad harmonies and melodies that draw me in because like that's our shadow side. And
right.
that's the side that your typical like thing that you hear even when you walk into a restaurant or a place, you're not going to have that energy hit you first. You're gonna have something more major key and like happy and like upbeat. So I
You
feel
know,
like it's
that's
important to like
that's
look at it,
that's
listen, yeah.
really
And it's
interesting. That's
also just
really
like a matter
interesting.
of, like finding a way to bring some beauty into like the pain of life.
Yeah.
Finding like the beauty in the darkness
The
and
beauty in
what
darkness. Yeah, the beauty in darkness. And what you said, I'm sorry, what was your name again? About the
Cassie,
I
Lauren,
Lauren,
Cassie.
okay,
Gina.
Lauren. So Lauren, okay, so Lauren and Gina Cassie. So what Lauren said about the minor keys. And there's something about that, like I was always drawn to. I think it might be almost physiological, where we're sort of maybe are and some sort of DNA level, we're attuned to different frequencies and different, you know, even chord structures or keys, because I always,
Great.
it's like from the first time, I mean, everybody has their first experience. Like for me, it was my friend Thomas S. Roche played me the song um, uh, um, She's Lost Control by Joy Division. And
Yeah.
I was hooked. I was just like, this, whatever it is, and that driving Peter Hook's bass line, and then Ian Curtis is like he sounds like he's singing already in the grave, you know, confusion in her eyes says it all, and I was like, okay, so I know where he's coming from, and there's something like majestic about it. It's almost like you're already dead, so you're preserved from the pain of life and you can just experience the beauty of it. If that makes any sense, I don't know. But so for all of you, for Cassie, Gina, and Lauren, what was your first experience when you heard a song and you said, whatever this kind of music is, that's for me?
Who wants to go first?
Gina.
Gina's
Because you're
first.
the
Okay. I will never forget this. It was the first day of public high school. I went to Christian school basically my whole life. My first day of public high school. I'm on the bus with the coolest kid in my high school. He lived down the street from me. And he had headphones on. And there's no one else on the bus but him and I.
Right.
And I hear this music that I've never heard before. I couldn't place it. I didn't know what it was. And finally I looked over at him and I said, "What are you listening to?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, it's Nine Inch Nails.
that was
Do
my
you want to
first.
hear it?" And I was like, "The song's called Head
Yeah.
Like a Hole." I said, "Okay." I put on the headphones
Hmm.
immediately, Alex, mind blown. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is exactly the music that I've been looking for." And
Yeah.
I finally feel like someone else in the world understands how I feel.
And
Yeah.
that was actually my first too. Nine Inch Nails Had Like a Hole, and that was actually my first big concert in 1995.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Had Like a Hole was the song. So
How was with Bowie? Did you see him with Bowie?
I
no,
did.
I didn't.
Oh,
I
oh
got
my
to see
God.
him with
Yeah, so did
Bowie
I.
No fair.
and Prick opened up at Blossom in Cleveland. So it
Oh
was
my
Prick
God.
and then Nine Inch Nails and David Bowie. I got to see the Thin White Duke. It was the most
The thin
amazing thing
white
I'd
Duke
ever seen.
throwing darts in lovers' eyes, right? Oh, by the way, and I've invited Gina and I invite all of you. This is an open invitation. So if you want to submit something to my press, um, like if you like, okay, so we operate like if you ask for an honorarium, I can pay you a one-time honorarium, but I always pay like contributors copies at the very least, and you would be alongside Poppy Z. Bright and Caitlin R. Kieran and Tara Vanflower. Absolutely. So, that's just I'm putting it out there, it's like because we're doing a whole series. One of the anthology series we're doing is called A Collective Paw. and it's an animal rights anthology series. And do I have a copy of the Collective Paw? It's something, yeah, this is it. And so our friend Nicole H6, you probably heard of a band called Motley Crue, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is Nikki Sixx's daughter. And she's an amazing like actor, film director. You know, she does she's written for like Weird Tales, but she's an animal rights person, and she works with stray cats in LA. And she asked me because I created this imprint of Nocturnicorn books called A Collective Paw, based on our friend Ellen Mabie's incredible poet and just a wonderful person. You all should like friend request her because she's neat. And her fans include like Rollins and Exene, you know. Um, but she wrote a poem called Whiff of Wonder, and it contains the phrase a collective paw, like there's something in the collective paw. And I was like, wow. And then Nicole asked me if she could submit something to a collective paw, and I said, well, it's not a book yet, but it could be. And things kind of, you know, like it's
From
become
there.
a movement, you know, and I excuse me, I sent a copy to Damien Youth just just a week ago, and I was like, could you pose with a collective paw so we can get like, you know, celebrity, like dark celebrities to I'll send it to you three if you could.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
if you could pose with it and take a selfie, because we're raising money for like animals, right? Animal rights. So anyway, that's just a pitch for a collective ball. So I'm sorry. Could you like continue with those primal goth song experiences?
And it's funny that you brought up the collective pod because one of our future upcoming shows in October, for my 50th birthday.
Oh wow.
Um, right. So we are actually going to do a birthday bash with a bunch of other local Cleveland bands, and it's also going to be an animal benefit. So I thought
That's so
that's
beautiful.
pretty cool how this ties in.
It does tie
Yeah.
in. Yeah, that's great. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Wow. I'm so excited. Yeah.
I'm
And
excited too.
yeah, wow.
We could even take a selfie there.
Yeah.
There won't be animals, but we could,
So
Take a selfie with my dog too.
Oh yeah, she has. She
True.
does have a dog.
Very
you
sensitive.
Red
He's
Rum.
kind of goth. Yeah.
His name's Red Rum.
His name is Red Room.
oh, Red Rum, of course. You know who's going to contribute an original story? Jonathan Maybury to the second one. Like Jonathan Maybury, you've heard of a little thing called V Wars and, you know, Black Panther, you know, um, Wakanda Forever. Like he created those. So
Okay.
yeah, he's going to
Oh,
write us an original story
Nice.
for
wow.
Collective Paw too. So I'm really stoked.
Okay.
I can't believe this. You know, it's just like beyond. You know, I think what it is, it's like we're all kind of impossibly soft. I mean, we care, we're gentle, we're kind, and we believe in looking out for each other, you know? And I think that's kind of a quality that is not seen a lot, especially in today's climate.
And especially even in bands, we
Yeah.
actually like make sure that we all kind of take care of each other, but not every band is like that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So we have a strong support web, if you will, and
Yeah.
Elder Goths. So,
Which I think really is what can make a band work so well because I've been in a lot of bands and it really is when you have those strong ties, it's what can really push you further as a group.
Yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting, you know, thinking about and talking about like band dynamics because you know, like I remember like interviewing my first ever kind of gothy death rockish assignment was, you know, I got a call from Dark Angel magazine and they were like, our person flaked out. Can you talk to Roz Williams? And I was like, I think I can arrange that, you know, I think I can do that. But then Mick Mercer had written a book about goth and death rock, that kind of had a lot of false information in it. So I actually had to ask around, and there's, as you know, there's multiple conflicting, camps in of Christian death. Like they're all about, like what's his name,
Valor.
Valakand, or the Raws, fanatics, or they're Jatan Damon. I also interviewed her, and she told me a lot about his final days. It was very, and so that kind of thing about like the band dynamics can really, it can hurt. It also hurts like with, speaking of Bauhaus, because Bauhaus had to cancel their last tour because every time, like clockwork, Peter Murphy has to pull some shenanigans. It's like he is, we love him for his powerful presence and amazing aura, but you know, he's he's like toxic for the band. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into that, but it's just what it is. Yeah.
Because I was really looking forward to that, and then I heard that happened, and it was very disappointing and sad.
And it's Lauren, right? So like tell me about your experience of like your first, you know, gothic-y, and it doesn't even have to be a song. It could be a club, it could be a person that you meet, like that one girl or guy, whatever, that is kind of quiet and dresses really beautifully, and it's maybe there's also a lot of overlap with like, queer circles and like and neurodivergency and people just, preferring the darkness because that's where they feel like they're most, alive, I think. And so like so it can be that, it's always like the really beautiful people who get picked on a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Sure, definitely. Well, so as far as my influences, it's interesting. I'm going to start like with my family. So when I would say maybe like a preteen, like adolescent age, that my older brother and my cousin, both male, so Ryan, Carl are their names, and both of them, being like a little smidge bit older than me, like both 3 years older,
Hmm.
they were already starting to get into some of the stuff that was out there. So like the Chameleons, even though they're not like classically like goth, they're sort of like towing that line, I would say,
Hmm.
between that sort of like post-punk British goth-y scene. And there's a lot of minor keys in their stuff. There was so
Minor
much
key.
about it that like
Yeah.
so I just remember we were actually like on a road trip home from having just like seen my cousin out of
Hmm.
state, and my brother had got some things from him. We were listening to it in the back of our minivan and
Right.
I was like, whoa, this is for me. Like I just remember feeling like this is like legitimately
Hmm.
beautiful music. It's different. And then, so I'll just kind of hop to another small experience. Not really an experience, but I just remember being a teenager, maybe like 14, 15 at that point.
Yeah.
I had gone to the library a lot to get and try out like different music and
Yeah.
just get random CDs all the time.
Yeah.
And A Perfect Circle, because I'm
Right.
still on the younger end of the Elder Goths. Perfect Circle was a band that I really, really I listened to constantly. So I
Yeah.
had like this little rotation of CDs, but that one was like a go-to for me. And I know can speak a lot to her enjoyment of that band as well.
Yes.
But that was, just their style is like clearly characteristic of like darker, like just drony,
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
moody and just beautiful though at the same time. And like the lyric or the singing in it. So, in my role in this band, obviously we all sing just something about like that deep voice. So like Gina brings our depth in the elder goths. I
Uh-huh.
bring kind of more of like the brightness in that, soprano
Yeah.
and but just something there's just the way that they sing. I think like I always just had that stick with me.
Yeah.
And I almost like to channel that and stuff that I do a little bit, among so many other things. But yeah. So
Um, I just
a
recently
couple.
friended
Yeah.
Ivy, what was her last, Ivy Nay? Do you know Ivy Nay? on Facebook.
I think
She's
someone's been like
I guess she's
maybe.
best known as a photographer, but she had that one song in the 80s with a very kind of creepy, kind of witchy vocal. It's called Kill You Tonight. Do you know that song? Think I'm gonna
I
kill
Oh,
don't,
you tonight.
I'm
It's
gonna look into this, but
oh
I just
yeah,
like almost
definitely.
like
it's an
super recently
earworm.
saw that name. And I
Yeah,
can't, yeah, I can't place it though at the moment. Yeah. But
yeah. It's
Yeah, we'll
it's
check it out.
Yeah.
it's a
Thank you.
really great, a band that I think um, was a very, very influential, but they didn't last long, and they were considered a novelty group at the time. Switchblade Symphony, right?
yeah,
I'm a
You love
fan.
them.
Symphony, right?
I was a fan.
Yes, you love
I mean, I have.
I think we're all fans. Yeah. Like,
You guys
Right?
are.
oh yeah.
Their
Mhm.
cover of Jolene, I'm obsessed with that song for some reason.
That's a great song to begin with. So to hear like a darker version of it is even, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic.
how do you feel like there's some people like Billy Martin who are whenever, like I tried to get him online with I did this thing called, Juggernaut, the magazine of extreme music, and we had like Terry B. Murphy on the cover of the second issue. And she's a great gal. She's one of my favorite musicians. And the photography was done by the Blue Blood people, Forrest Black and Amelia G. And so, but she's been able to go from hip hop. She started with hip hop, and then she did this kind of witchy um, or bitchcraft, goth hip hop, and then she did this metal stuff, or vice versa. She went from hip hop to metal to that kind of, and then she went back to rock and roll. And
Wow.
but there are
I like
people who are, in the maybe in the like the more gothy side of things or more purist, like, Billy Martin. It's like, like when it comes to metal or, Motorhead or anything like that. But then there are bands that I really love, like My Dying Bride. So we talk a little bit about that, like goth, death rock, metal, black metal overlap and how you feel about that kind of music?
Huh.
I honestly like every genre of music for the most part. So I never really listened to a lot of black metal, I will say. I did have
Right.
like a metal phase in middle school, like the old
Right.
school, like Megadeth, like
Yeah.
Pantera, Sepultura, that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I like it. I respect it. And I think that like the two definitely go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I haven't been necessarily, yeah, I'm similar to Kathy, I think, in that I span a lot of genres that I enjoy. And
Mhm.
but I have been to like a couple of metal shows. I saw like Amorphous a
Right.
few
Oh
years
my God.
ago.
Yeah.
And just it was awesome. But so yeah, like I love it, I respect it, but it's not something I listen to like every day of my life. I probably
That's
listen to
cool.
more
Yeah.
goth and like dark
Yeah.
wave and things
same. Yeah.
It's a
than anything else.
completely different kind of like vibe. And often, if I feel very aggressive, it's between like Nine Inch Nails or Motorhead. And sometimes it's a very subtle distinction too, because there's, Trent Reznor is kind of more angsty and introverted, and then Motorhead is much more like, "Yeah, we are Motorhead and we're gonna kick your ass," whatever. It's very out there, and I love them both. So also because I do this, I'm a horror author, dark fiction, I guess, author, and I do work with like a lot of goth affiliated um, authors, like, Poppy Z. Bright. So do you have any authors that you enjoy that are
There's
in that
so many.
mode?
Too many.
I feel like one that like influenced me when I was very younger, like middle school, was Christopher Pike because he was one of those, novels, kind of like an R.L. Stein that wrote horror novels, but he
Yeah.
added this like deep element to his books. Like he would put in like astral projection, meditation, all these like kind of deep, like dark things I was exploring at the time. And so
Yeah,
like that author, like my epitome of like goth as I was developing in my taste.
right. So yeah,
I loved Poppy Z Bright as well. I've read a lot of Poppy Z Bright for sure, but I was always drawn to the classics, Edgar Allan Poe. But then I loved all the poets too.
yeah,
William Burroughs for sure, towards the top of the list. But I could be as I was reading as I got older, well, my teenage years, it was definitely Anne Rice all the way.
And Rice, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
yeah,
Most influential for sure. Yes, for me. Yeah.
yeah.
This is like a funny one, maybe, and not like a typical answer, like, novels or anything, but
Yeah.
just like old, like dark, weird fairy tales. I've always
Okay.
been really drawn to. I
That
actually have
counts.
like the Brothers Grimm, like
Like the
fables.
real-
Dark, the original
dark,
version.
So dark, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have like the original, or well, some version. I like got it as a gift for Christmas a couple years ago.
That
So that and Edgar Allan Poe and like a lot of the classic. Nice.
this is
There
something
you
that I
go.
did that I created. I'm trying to see.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we got Bill Plimpton, the Academy Award nominated filmmaker, to do the
Love
cover.
that
Oh
art.
wow. Very
Right.
cool.
This is my character, Princess Cherry Pop. These are so wrong. He even blurbed the whole entire series. Witty and clever, right?
Wow. That's really cool.
Thank
So
you.
funny. Yeah. So
So,
thank you for sharing that.
of
Yes.
course. And so, okay, like Christopher Pike, Anne Rice, Poppy Z. Bright, and Grimm's Fairy Tales, and Edgar Allan Poe, and those are all. What about like Ray
Yeah.
Bradbury or
Oh yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yes. Oh yeah. I love science fiction.
Uh-huh.
William Gibson. Yeah, that like Necromancer. All here.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah. Hey, so like, did you say like Bruce, like William Gibson and Bruce, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about, right? Bruce, um, the guy who wrote like Global Head, and he and Gibson collaborated on that the Difference Engine. Um, um, I'm gonna just kick myself when I Bruce something or other. Anyway, so yeah, so not to brag, but John Shirley called me the Baudelaire of our time.
I know that that's a huge compliment.
It's a
It's
huge,
true.
huge, like if John Shirley says it, I'm not gonna like fight that. I'm not gonna say, oh no, you know. So who else would it be? I mean, I always thought I feel like sort of Rob Halford and Ozzy arguing about who created metal, but I would say it's Poppy Z. Bright every single time, right? I will always defer to Billy Martin. I will never, you know what I mean? Because he is the the reigning king as far as I'm concerned. He and Caitlin are Kiernan, you know, and we don't have Anne Rice anymore and Peter Straub, rest in peace, right? So, and Stephen King, of course. Like,
Yeah. That
yeah.
would have been my other, yeah, Stephen King for sure. So
So like, what is it about? Like, okay, so a lot of Poppy Billy's work, and Anne Rice, of course, heavily references music. And so, could we talk a little bit about that kind of intersection where you're reading something, and I try to combine the genres. So this is White on White, a literary tribute to Bauhaus, with a foreword by Poppy Z. Bright. We have Jarbo. We have Carrie Lee Crum, who co-founded a little band called The Runaways, with Joan Jett. It's an original piece by Carrie Lee Crum. And
Yeah.
Sandy DeLuca is a two-time Bram Stoker Award nominated author, and she and I collaborated on a Thunderstruck, a dark poetry collection. we got John Shirley, we got John Palisano, who's a really awesome author, dark fiction author. I highly recommend his stuff. And Caitlin R. Kiernan, of course, two-time World Fantasy and Bram Stoker Award-winning author. Tara Vanflower from Lycia and Typo Negative, who was actually introduced to by Jarbo. So this is a kind of an example of, yeah, of where the two worlds,
Mhm.
come together. Do you find that when you're reading like something, a novel or a short story collection or whatever, that you find that it enhances your appreciation for the music?
Oh, yes,
I would say so for sure.
most
Yeah.
definitely. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Have you
And
ever been inspired by a poem or a short story or a novel to write something like a song or
Was. I would say somewhat. Like I've drawn from things a little bit and like just kind of, I write a lot. Like I'll write little blurbs, even if they don't turn into anything.
yeah,
So I would say to an extent, yeah. About
I would say I would draw from a lot of, uh, you know, darker publications that I've read, whatever dark authors, what
Yeah.
have you.
yeah,
I can't necessarily say there was a specific book or something that I like reference to writing
right,
lyrics, but I definitely think everything I've read influences
yeah,
writing lyrics or
Yeah.
poems or anything like that. Most definitely.
And for
sure,
me, like, I mean, I could say maybe, but my songwriting process is just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of sit down and I write and then it just kind of flows through. So I'm sure it is influenced, but I never really like can remember thinking of a particular time where I like read a book and went and wrote a song right after. So
right, yeah.
Maybe even indirect. Yeah. Like from the ether. Really. Yeah.
Which
Right.
kind of leads to talking about songwriting craft. And so I know that Carrie Lee Crum tried to teach me how to write songs according to a sort of a metrical formula, really, and I miserably failed. But it was cool because I really got some insights into the woman who wrote "Waiting for the Night," you know what I mean, and Secrets, and I was like, "Huh, wow, this is kind of awesome." And what what's your songwriting process?
so I write the music. My process is I kind of just for this. I mean, I started writing songs when I was about 16, and I play guitar, so I did a
Oh,
lot of my guitar songs with guitar. But for this band in particular, I revisited Fruity Loops, which I learned back in my early goth days when I was 20, as I picked up the program when I was writing like synths and drum beats, and never
mhm.
really took it anywhere. So I'm like, it'd be fun to do just a band where I just write everything with like synths and then add some guitar here and there. But like I mean, I don't know. Like I have this weird way of just I sit down and it kind of like comes to me, and it's always kind of been that way. I mean, yes, I it works better when I'm feeling more emotional or or I'm just in a mood. But I just like sit down and it just kind of flows through me. It's hard for me to. People always ask me that, and that's
Sure, I
kind of
know.
yeah.
What's the collaboration process like in the band itself?
Well, right now I've been I started off doing all the songs, writing all the music and lyrics, but
Hmm.
I've recently just wrote a musical piece that I'm giving to Gina and Lauren so they can bring in their own melody and songwriting and
That's
record it.
interesting. And
Mhm.
so, like I know that with Tara Vanflower and her husband Michael Van Portfleet, in Lycia, that it's a very different thing than solo Tara Vanflower, because Tara Vanflower, um, has, I mean, it's really gorgeous. It's gorgeous music, but she says that the difference with Lycia is it's Mike Van Portfleet, it's his genius, it's his baby, right? And do you ever feel like, hey, I wish I had more input in this, and I want to be able to contribute some stuff here. Or do you ever, I mean, I'm not trying to foment dissension, but I'm sure this kind of stuff does come up, you know.
Sure. Um, I and I think because we've all been, well, I've been in different kinds of bands where it's been more of um, everyone kind of coming together or jamming or whatever, and that's not necessarily Cassie's style, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But as we're evolving, we're expanding our roles more. So um, it, everything that we do is evolving. So now we're in a different capacity, Lauren and I, to be able to contribute more. And I think
Okay.
as time goes on, we'll find more things that we will be able to contribute with. And for me to feel creatively fulfilled, definitely, writing lyrics is huge for me.
Yeah.
So,
So that even just like we were speaking about it just before the interview, like she has some ideas, I have some things stowed away that we're going to come together on
Right.
for lyrics. And I also grew up playing viola, so that I can bring some like
Wow.
very eerie tones and things.
Yeah.
We just haven't, written it to current stuff that we have, but that's sort of like in the idea sense and play.
I was trying to find some of your music and I utterly failed. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right place, but I found one song on Bandcamp and it was like in Violet or something like, or in Indigo or
Indigo Flow.
Indigo Flow.
So,
Yeah, I completely
Indigo,
fucked that
Violet.
up. But,
so you have to
um,
I know Bandcamp's not necessarily awesome. You have to scroll down to see the
oh,
other releases that we have down
okay.
below. And
Wait for on all streaming sites. If you put in the Elder Goths, like in Spotify, Apple Music, any of that, we should pop up.
Oh,
YouTube,
okay.
Pandora, Amazon Music, you put in Elder Gods, our 5 songs, so singles will come up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what kind of stuff are you working on right now?
Well, so I just wrote that music to give to Lauren and Gina to write. So they're working on that song. We're working on finishing recording 2 other songs for an
Mhm.
October release. But we have everything pretty much, like the music is ready for them. We're gonna do like a 4 to 5 song release for
Wow,
Yeah.
cool. So okay, this is a terrible question. I will admit in advance, but because it sort of requires you to do my job, but how would you characterize your music? Like what kind of genre would you say? I mean, obviously you're the Elder Gods, but if people wanted to, you know, like sort of key my viewers into like what kind of vibe that they could expect from you.
And I always have a hard time with that question because as a songwriter, I'm just kind of writing, and then when I hear it back, it's like it's my own thing. So I
Right.
just usually say like ambient, dark. I keep it kind of general and just let other people make their own, conclusions from listening.
Yeah, I like that sort of like there's an openness to it. But something that we have heard from people like in the audience or people that
Mhm.
started listening was that like I haven't heard anything. Like no one else is doing what you guys are doing. So I think
Right.
that's another reason why we're almost like letting it begin to define itself.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm a big words person, so the first words at least that come to mind as an adjective maybe are just like ethereal, like kind of chamber like, but not extreme with chamber. Yeah, like
Okay.
something in that vein. Yeah. Um,
So for example, I mean immediately I think of Lycia. So fans of Lycia would probably like you, right? Yeah.
So I would think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
So are there any bands that you would love to tour with or collaborate with, that are like your dream?
I mean, my dream tour would be Bat for Lashes.
Oh yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I uh probably similar to Gina. Like we can always think of almost too many, but
Too
off the
many.
top of my head, I think like Chelsea Wolfe would be amazing to tour with.
Yes.
Why does that sound
Jenny
so familiar?
Chelsea
Chelsea
Wolfe.
Chelsea Wolf.
That's she's a I'm actually not I feel like she's been around for maybe at least 10-ish years and sort of the dark, almost like straddling like into not quite metal, but just like hardcore like vocals and like very just like haunting sounding.
I think we're
Um,
friends. I just it just
maybe.
like does she like do like so a lot of songs that are based on like Edgar Allan Poe and stuff? Is that Chelsea?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
definitely. There's like
yeah.
well, and I'm thinking of there's one other artist that has just like a really beautiful. She's also probably newer era, but
Mhm.
her name's Hillary Woods. Hillary Woods. Yeah. Anyway, so she's got a very like more on the ambient side of just this dark. Like when I like close my eyes and listen to her music, I just figure I'm sort of like in this dark like forest with like a tide pool nearby. It's just
Dark
so
forest with a
beautiful.
tide
Yeah.
pool at night.
Yeah.
Wow,
Um, like
that's
where it
really
does like some chirping insects, but yeah,
looking
it's
insect.
gorgeous.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So incorporating like ambient sounds or
Yeah.
I was just, I'll admit something. I was never a huge fan of The Cure, but
Okay.
the beginning of the opening like hook of, a forest is such an earworm. Like I will listen to
Yes.
that over and over and over again. Are there any songs that you like that are so go to that you're listening like, decades later, you're still you gotta
Burn,
listen to that one right now?
burn.
Burned by the Cure,
Yeah.
most
Mhm.
definitely.
Yes, Burned by the
Yes,
Cure, which was on the soundtrack to The Crow. Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Yeah, right?
yes.
And
Every song on that track is
Dead
phenomenal.
Souls by Joy Division, and then, oh my
That's
God.
another one.
Oh,
For
definitely.
sure.
That cover that Nine Inch Nails did of Dead Souls was just
Amazing.
still amazing to this day.
How do you think? So I think a lot about the origins of goth because I sort of tracked it down to like definitely definitely Bowie, but also the Velvet Underground, right?
Oh, for sure.
They were doing that drone stuff and the and Nico's like weird presence and her, thick German accent and the sort of oh tomorrow's parties. And I actually my this is another weird, coincidence of my life, but my cousin is Bibi Hansen. She's the mother of Beck, and she's also like was a Warhol superstar. I mean, she was in two movies by Warhol with Edie Sedgwick, and
Oh,
I always
Okay.
think of that, like that whole era with the Doors, and then how the Doors kind of influenced all these other bands, and then Jim Morrison's voice, and then Iggy Pop, and then Bowie, and um then you had like Lou Reed. So
no, yeah.
The
how
Doors are very much like beginner goth, like to me, like this the goth of like the 60s, 70s. I mean, that was one of the first bands when I was younger that I was like, this is different, this is dark. I used to listen to like The End on repeat in the woods.
right?
This feeling. Yes.
This
I
is
remember
and you
camping,
and you, and
having
you
it on
automatically
repeat in my
went into the
headphones.
posture, right? You went into the posture that's
The
on
Bat
on the
Pastor.
picture cover. Yeah. That's so
I'm
so
also cold.
beautiful.
There's like an air conditioning blasting on me.
Well, those is
Interesting
funny.
environment right now. Yeah.
This is funny, like when I oh oh yeah, so there were rumors when I interviewed Sarah Jezebel Deva for Zero Tolerance, and there were rumors that she slept in a coffin, and so I asked her about that, and she said, "Don't be a coffinist."
Oh my goodness.
Don't be a coffinist. And I was like, no, I mean, I think that rules, if you do what you makes you feel like, you know
I'm
what I
gonna stand like
mean?
this the rest of the interview.
Yeah.
I'll kind of
Love
hold
that. Love this one.
Also, there's the whole like I mean, there's the whole Egyptian thing.
right.
What's with goth and Egypt?
Who's not obsessed with Cleopatra? Any girl that's in the goth scene, I'm sorry, but
Her email is Cleo, like it starts with that. I won't say the whole thing, but it starts with Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Email from like back in the day,
From like 20
when
years.
emails began.
Yeah.
So
Email.
so
Early email.
Cleopatra was the queen of the Nile. She was a goddess-like person. She was a yeah, and I always think of Elizabeth Taylor, right? I mean,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah,
Cleopatra.
and I'm just blanking on standard shit now. Oh, Bruce Sterling. You got to read Bruce Sterling if you like, cyberpunk.
Sterling.
He's
Taking notes. Are you
incredible.
taking notes?
Sort of.
Sterling.
Well,
Bruce Sterling, yeah, he wrote
Thank you.
Heavy Weather, and just like he has more concepts per paragraph than most science fiction writers have in an entire novel series. And
Really?
was part of the original cyberpunks.
Oh, that's amazing.
huh.
I'm all about this.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
highly recommend. Um, so like so Egypt, and then I think Cleopatra Records, right?
Right.
I've done
Right.
so much for. I remember like when I was first like my second wave of gothiness because after the Roz Williams interview kind of fell into my lap, I was sort of like, this is kind of badass. And I decided to, well, I was doing research and I sort of decided to catch up on where goth had been since my day. And I discovered bands like Mephisto Waltz and was it um, Raised in Black and the the Bolshoi. I'm a huge fan of theirs. Like they have the one song Away. You know that song Away?
So favorite.
Okay, the Bolshoi. It I think they were just one of those bands that, maybe they have one song, but it's a banger. And then they did a lot of remixes of Christian Death stuff. So they had like bands like Die Krups, remixing Roz Williams and then my friends in Penis Flytrap, they were in a compilation that was like a David Bowie goth tribute album. And they did like the um
Panic in Detroit, was it that one?
I think so. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like Panic in Detroit and like Christian Death, like Roz Williams did
Yes,
a cover. I had
exactly.
that. I drove like half an hour to find that CD to
Oh
get it.
my gosh.
Where
Yeah.
did you find it?
Harry's Rock Pile and here in Parma that's no longer, I think it's a restaurant or something now.
Wow,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Death in Detroit,
yes.
right? It was like all
Yep.
these remixes,
Oh,
and then it was around the same time that Trent Reznor was doing all of these like he had like the what was it that the second his second album like the Downward Spiral, right? And they had like all these kind of remixes of Further Down the Spiral, right? And then he did the soundtrack
yes.
to Natural Born Killers and Lost Highway, and those things were fantastic. I mean, there was still still really inspiring stuff. So, like thinking about movies, okay, so I've been doing a lot of thinking about there are certain movies that are go-to if any self-respecting goth is going to say, well, The Craft, right? Um, right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's just so like we all want to be Nancy Downs, even though she's supposed to be evil, but damn, she
But
screws a
I mean,
ball, right?
he's so cool.
She's so cool, right? So what are like okay, if you have to make a list of like the top five, you know, y- not to be a gatekeeper, I don't believe in that, but if you want to be, if you want to enjoy goth culture more, what are like essential goth movies?
Donnie Darko,
Crow,
The Crow,
Doom Generation.
Nightmare on Elm
New
Street 4.
Generation. What?
Hey, slower. What?
Nightmare on Elm Street 4. That actually, like, when I remember that was one of my goth moments. I was watching that. I mean, I know it's like campy and stuff, but it really, like, I don't know, something about it was like this dark, mysterious, like dream world. It was one of the first horror films I ever saw, so it'll
Mhm.
always hold a special place in my heart. Nightmare
Was
on Elm
that
Street.
the one with the gothy character?
It was the Dream Master.
The Dream Master, okay.
Dream Master.
I don't know if it was a goth. Anyway, sorry, go on.
For me, the original 1931 Dracula with Bela Lugosi, because when I
Yes.
was 5, that's who I was going to marry,
And
was
Bram
Dracula.
Stoker's, Bram Stoker's Dracula was in
Mhm.
really
Yes.
Yeah, that my
Interview with a
sure.
Vampire too. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, Interview with
Right.
a Vampire, yeah.
done, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to think, is there something else we're missing?
I said Donnie Darko.
We already said The Crow, right?
Right?
What
That's
what
probably
about like the old like German expressionist movies like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu and Faust and
Nosferatu, yes.
Nosferatu, of
That's what I
course.
was trying to think of. Like,
Just saw that
Yeah.
remake the other
Well,
day,
yeah,
which was
there's the updated.
phenomenal. I thought it was
there's like
very
a couple
well done.
versions as well from
Yeah.
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 Oh, definitely Nosferatu.
Yeah, and then there's some weird kind of like foreign films that I really love. If you've never seen anything by Jean Rollin, the French like he was obsessed with kind of like lesbian vampires, and so his movies are incredibly surreal. They're they've got a kind of they're kind of kinky, but they're not like hardcore. They're just more like watching a bloody, sexy dream with a lot of
Hmm.
beautiful women in it. And I don't know, I would recommend just look up John Roland, especially like Two Orphan Vampires or whatever. A lot of his movies are still available for free. You can watch. I always thought that like movies like Carrie or The Fury
Oh,
Carrie's
yeah.
a big
were very
Carrie, was it that one you said?
What was the one
Carrie
after Fury?
The Fury, John Ferris, is Brian De Palma with
I have
Amy
not seen
No, I
Irving.
that either.
Um, it's kind of it's very similar to Carrie. So these teenagers, there's like the Amy Irving character has a kind of like a telekinetic power like Carrie, and
Mm.
so they're both they're kidnapped by this malevolent sort of um as- you know I I think they work for the government, sort of like a they're black ops or whatever, and they're trying to use these these teenagers as like super weapons or whatever to develop them as cultivate them as super weapons. And John Cassavetes is one of the bad guys. Great for like I just thought of something. Okay, have you ever seen? I know I don't like Roman Polanski is problematic, but Repulsion with Catherine Deneuve. It's from like 1966 or so, and
It's repulsive.
Repulsion. And another movie that I really, really like, I think you'll appreciate, is called Vampires with a Y, um, also known as The Lost Girls or Daughters of Darkness. It's a Spanish film which was filmed in England.
You just
Vampire,
reminded me. You said lots of girls, lots of boys,
Lost Boys.
yeah. So yes, right. So that had the guy, oh my God, with the Lost Boys. That had that guy with the saxophone, and
Saxophone.
he's
Yes,
like,
he just played recently. I had
I,
oh my
Lauren.
I
God,
saw him
I had a ticket
live.
and I couldn't go.
He came touring through.
Yeah,
oh my
Um,
God, that's
it was
incredible.
it was
That's
extremely
so
entertaining. I'll
badass.
say that.
I gotta go to the next one. But yeah, that movie is definitely
Out there,
Yeah,
yes,
I love that movie.
most definitely.
What about Labyrinth? I mean, Labyrinth is
Yes,
Yeah,
gotta be
Labyrinth. How did I forget about Labyrinth? Oh,
although I didn't see that until I was like in my
same. I
Really?
didn't see it till I was an adult either, just at random, but it hit for sure.
oh
It's
yes,
definitely up there.
most definitely. If I hadn't already loved David Bowie by then, I would have loved him
right.
after that.
Yeah. So, like, talking about David Bowie. So, okay, I'm just about to release. I'm actually put out two anthologies, and this guy, Tony Zanetta, he's a pal of mine. He was the road manager for Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars,
wow.
right? So badass. And this is what he said, very nice things, to me.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah, very
And
cool.
So he worked with Bowie like because he was in Andy Warhol's Pork, and and then they went on tour. They went to London, and that's how. And then Angie and David came out to the show, and then the rest was history. And then I guess there's Tony, very very young Tony, as playing Andy Warhol in Andy Warhol's, Andy Warhol directed that play with, I think, was that Candy Darling, or that's Wayne County. And anyway, this is an incredible, incredible book. So, like, so when I think of Bowie, there's there's so much of he was very influential as far as liberating people to be androgynous, or to be, I mean, it's a lot, people are a lot more comfortable talking about whatever term you're comfortable with, but certainly that kind of, where you don't have, I mean, I think that's one beautiful thing about goth, is that you don't have to decide, like we're all in the grave together. There's no like gender, right? We're sort of all blend in, But could we talk
Right.
a little bit about that kind of, there's a wonderful, it's always been a absolutely central aspect of gothic culture, is androgyny. Could we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I went through my whole androgyny phase in college, and heavily influenced by David Bowie and Annie Lennox,
Yeah,
especially when, because I'm younger. Well, I mean, I was young when this happened. So like Farm Aid that happened
right.
when David Bowie and Annie Lennox were on stage, and they were like the opposite of each other, wearing the black and white outfits, and they had their similar hair, and it
Yeah.
was one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. And I was definitely in the whole androgyny thing for a couple of years for sure.
So that's the magazine. Oh, I did. I'll just show you. I was talking about vampires, vampires, the movie, and this is an essay I did for this magazine, and you know, by Jose Larraz. Um, you know, it's wonderful. That is a
It is.
really really cool mag, and the cover was done by Forrest Black and Amelia G from Blue Blood magazine.
Very
Awesome.
So yeah, so it is just it's wonderful to have a place to go, where yeah, sort of like, remember Cheers, the the show Cheers, where like
That was
everybody knows your name, you know?
that was a place we Cleveland called in Lakewood called the Chamber, and that was a goth club. That's where Gina and I met back in like 2000 or something like that. But
Yeah,
that's where we were there like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night,
Sunday
Sunday night.
night, Wednesday night, it was 80s night.
So
It's like the
great.
goth club, the only one around.
And it was like the goth version of Cheers. Like,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah.
everyone knew
badass.
everybody. It was a big goth gang. Everyone knows everyone. You look forward to seeing each other every 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. And we still all like see everybody, but pretty much from this, like the core scene people, like we're still friends with all these years. And in fact, she want him to with one of the people we've known from the chamber forever. So yeah, that was definitely like home. And we learned a lot about ourselves there for sure.
Right, like
Yeah,
I'm in another band with my friend Evan. So he was in a big Lestat, which is a band based off of Vampire Lestat book.
nice.
And Gina and Vern are dancers in that band.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And they got permission from Anne Rice to be able to use the Stott name for their band because she liked the music so much,
that's
which was very
badass. Do you know the band Théâtre des Vampires?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you know the band Théâtre des Vampires, Theater of Vampires?
I've
Um,
heard.
Heard
I
of it.
don't
I
know if
don't
they're
have heard of it.
German, but
They're German, yeah.
they're really really amazing.
I gotta revisit that
Yeah,
because I forgot about that.
yeah, they're also, I was in touch with what are they called? They're this pagan folk group in would in the UK that um um incubus succubus. I like them.
Oh, yes.
Like the name.
I like that name too.
Oh, I have to check them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely. Okay, which leads to okay, let's talk about vampires. Which is just a, it's a kind of it's a goth trope of all tropes. What is it about vampires that is so alluring?
oh man.
No, this is all you, Gina.
Eugene.
Her nickname in the chamber was the Vampire Queen, so I'll let Gina
Nice.
take the ring.
Like I said, I have been obsessed with vampires. I don't know why since the age of that I can remember, since 5.
Yeah.
I've read everything vampire that you can think of. I don't know what it is that it has attracted me to it. If I could be one, I would be. I just feel like I am at home there again. I feel like saying that.
Yeah.
It calls to me in some kind of way, and I'm not sure why. And I've always just been very drawn to that, and I'll never not be able to be that way. And it's just who I am at this point now, and everything about it just feels right. And I think always feeling like or being an outcast and never feeling like fitting in and that sense of isolation and being strange, and it's the allure of that's okay and it's welcoming to be that way. I think that's what it is.
And
You
just
know,
also some like dark and romantic about it.
Yes.
yeah,
When you're like young goth, it's just like the ultimate like
Yeah.
and dark fantasy, you know.
yeah. Well, I
Yes.
mean, it's very erotic. I mean, let's face it, right? That's very attractive, but it's also um, like a movie, like the most obvious thing I always think of, like The Hunger, right?
The hunger.
Where,
Yes.
right? It's just like, I mean, they're all hot, and it's sort of like you have Susan Sarandon, you have Catherine Deneuve, who's still amazing. You had David Bowie, and then they get in the shower, and like
That should be
this
on
is
the list
so
of the must watch goth movies.
Yeah.
That should have been on the list.
Yeah. I was trying to think of that too.
yeah, right. And this is really funny. Okay, so Anne Magnuson is famously like, devoured by Bowie within the first 10 minutes. And had like I tried to get Anne into the Bowie book. So we had a few Facebook exchanges where, in the in the David J. Haskins book, Who Killed Mr. Moonlight, she's blurbed as calling herself, a new wave slut. Like I danced like, a new wave slut to Bela Lugosi's dead, right? And so um I I kind of like tagged her, and because I'm cheeky like that, and I said, would you like to be part of I just tried to like bring her on board. And so her manager, like emailed me and said, what do you want of my client? And I was like, well, I would love to have Anne Magnuson on board, and to because she's already written about Bowie and stuff. I thought I could just reprint what she wrote, her article. And so when she commented on about, it's called Moondust will cover you a literary tribute to David Bowie, right? She commented, very cool. So I thought, well, that's now I have an Anne Magnuson blurb. I don't need literal Anne Magnuson, right? So I decided to use it. And so I put it up on the cover. And see, here's the super, this is so stupid because I mean, we have like David J. Haskins, literal David J. Haskins in the book. We have Caitlin R. Kiernan, we have Tara Vanflower, we have Anna Taborska, who's like, if you've never read Anna Taborska, she's just this amazing, beautiful horror author and director. And you can find uh, some of her work on YouTube. It's a very, very beautiful, human being. and just like was nominated for the Bram Stoker like 5 times and won it last year. He's a beautiful person. And so we got all of these people. We got Tony Zanetta in there. We got Hannah Breshart. The like David Bowie is the commander, and I'm the space cadet, right? We have Hannah Breshart, right? We have all these incredible people, right? And so I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, well, this is a literal quote from Anne Magnuson, right? What's wrong with using that as a blurb, right? Well, her manager was not having any of that. And she wrote me a cease and desist, you know, like letter
No,
and said, you do not have permission from my client, Ann Magnuson, to use that quote. She just not read your book. And I'm like, well, the whole point was that it hasn't come out yet. I was trying to get her on board with it. And she just got very extra with me, and she's like, we do not, please remove all information connecting my client with your publishing project. And I'm thinking, okay, so you want me, you're telling me, you're literally telling me that I can't use Anne Magnuson's picture to promote a book that contains work by David J. Haskins, the man who wrote Bela Lugosi's Dead. You don't want to be associated with a book with like 5 Bram Stoker award-winning authors and all these people who were. I was even with my partner Aaliyah Celeste Williams. We were even on the Majori on Bowie show. They've had like everybody. They've had like Ava Cherry, they've had Tony Zanetta, they've had Hannah Brochard, you know, and so we were on that show. But Anne Magnuson's people don't want anything to do with this. I'm sorry that I'm rambling about this, but I just think it's just like what are you even thinking about? Like, did Anne make that decision herself? Or, or did her manager just decide to be extra about it?
I was just thinking that too. Like, was this really her or was it the manager? Did the manager
Yeah.
even tell her? Like,
Yeah.
so there's that too.
Right. So I decided because I'm cheeky like this, I decided to make a big deal about it as a publicity stunt. So every time I promote, Moondust will cover you, I make this big long post on Facebook and I say, Anne Magnuson does not endorse this book. And then I have a picture of her in The Hunger saying, does not contain Anne Magnuson.
That's funny.
So I think one day, maybe when people will be asking her about this book, you say, hey, did you know about Alex S. Johnson's Bowie tribute anthology? And were you asked? And she'd be like, well, um, uh, um, and then she'll find out that her manager told me, that in no way, shape, or form does she endorse it, and please remove all references to Anne Magnuson from my comments about The Hunger. Like, I mean, it's in the through the credit sequence, the iconic credit sequence to The Hunger contains, and how do you just like take that out? It's like
Right?
taking milk out of cheese, you know, right? Like, okay, well, I'll just like take the rubber out of the rubber tire. Ooh, okay. Like I can, what? So anyway, I didn't, I'm sorry, I ranted and raved about Anne Magnuson. We,
Valid, for sure
we're doing the
valid.
second volume. So Anne Magnuson, if you're watching, you're still good with me. And we got the elder Goths, endorse my work. So, right?
Yes,
And
Absolutely.
absolutely.
if I sent you a collective paw, so I can send you three. Can I send it to one address and
Yeah.
okay, so just send me your address on email and I can send you 3 copies. And so you said you're doing a animal rights thing, uh, or an
Right, we have
animal
a
It's yeah, just an upcoming more like a benefit live
event.
show that we're part of. So there's gonna be lots of other acts there, but that's sort of the theme and it's something that they already do every year, but we decided to become part of it for this October
So this is,
crossover birthday.
which is when my birthday is. So what kind of stuff, so what other bands are going to be on the program for that?
that's still to be determined.
It's still somewhat yeah, it's
Okay.
still a mix though, a mix of things that like related, but not necessarily all goth or anything like that. It's a
Okay.
mixed bag. Yeah.
It's basically our friend group that
Right.
don't have bands. So we're
Oh,
just asking all of our friends that have bands to do this together.
Yeah.
So
oh,
it's going to
okay.
be all different kind of genres, but we're all friends, so that's why we all support each other.
So
Yes.
if maybe if I sent you copies and then maybe you could like get other people to pose with the collective paw and we could make it a thing. I was
Sure.
We'd be happy.
I think they would totally be happy to.
okay. Because
Yeah.
it really has a lot of just people love it. I mean, like that collective paw. Did I well if I didn't put it up here before, I'll put it up again. Collective paw, right? It's got you know, it's funny because there's a review, there's a like 4.5 star review on Amazon, and it says, "Well, this isn't for
Yay.
me. This is anthology is not for me. It's a bunch of horror stories." And so, but I thought with the cartoon animals that would be like for kids, but it's not. I'm not recommended for kids. But I'm
Well,
into animals, so I'm thinking so.
Put some
Marketing.
vampire fangs in the animal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, just to, to like tell a little bit about, I'm not sure if I talked about it, I think on the broadcast. Do you mind if I talk about it a little bit? Or okay.
That's
Yeah, okay. So A Collective Paw, an animal rights anthology, is came from a poem by our friend Ellen Mabey. So really wonderful. She's called the giggling goddess of spoken word. And her poetry is so beautiful because it's kind of like a cosmic vision of, you know, she's funny as hell. She's kind of like a punk rock Fran Lebowitz meets um I don't know. It's hard to describe. Allen Ginsberg meets Bob Dylan meets, she's her own genre, right? She's a really beautiful person. She got her nickname because when she was reading at events like at the Iguana Cafe with, people like Exene Cervenka, and she when she, wanted to like maybe like read at an open mic, she wrote on the, the whatever the list of, readers, she wrote Ellen and then maybe, right? And that's how she got her nickname. She's extremely shy and she giggles a lot. That's why, she's called the giggling goddess. And she wrote a poem called A Whiff of Wonder. And if you don't mind, I'm going to actually read this because it'll give you some idea of how this this thing came about and why she is kind of this beautiful um, you know unique voice in poetry. Um, and it's a really short poem, so okay, so it's called Whiff of Wonder by Ellen Mabey. There's such a pain in the world, like we all stepped on a thumbtack at the same time, and we can either take a step forward or a step back. But there's something in the collective paw of the world holding us up. For some, it's music. For some, it's a rainbow. For some, it's nature. For some, it's love. The world must contain wonder when it feels all the breath and wishes contained. Even a whiff of wonder at the right moment in time can do wonders living in the world. And my partner Aaliyah and I were listening to this video where she's reciting this poem, and we looked at each other and went, wow, wow, right? Like there's something
Beautiful.
in the collective paw. And we thought, this is just, it's much more, right? It's just, yeah, man. Oh, I gotta take a screenshot. Could you all do collective?
Possibly.
Oh man, this is so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. And so we've been working with a lot with Nicole 86, and and she's a contributor. She's become a really an important part of Nocturnicorn Books. And so she messaged me one day and she said, "Hey Alex, what's a collective paw and can I contribute?" And I said, it's not really a thing. I mean, it's an imprint, and we have a logo, which was designed by our friend Adrian Baldwin, who does Phantasmagoria magazine in the UK. And
Mm.
and I said, okay, I love I love the idea, and we all love Ellen maybe, but um, what are you thinking, Nicole? What does the phrase suggest to you? And she says, well, I work with animals. I work with cats specifically. And I always think, you know, because of the whole Nikki Six, she's the daughter of Nikki Six, and who kind of like, you know, didn't really acknowledge her, and which is very sad because she's such a beautiful person. And I think that her affinity for the strays is kind of like, you know what I mean? Like something, because she identifies with them. And so I said, okay, so we're gonna go with as animal rights. We're gonna go with the cats, but more than that, animal rights as a charity. And and so then I started doing outreach to my usual contributors, Anna Taborska, Caitlin R. Kiernan, Poppy Z. Bright, um, Bram Stoker Award winner named Lauren Soares, LL Soares, Tara Van Flower from Lycia, of course, um, and Benjamin Adams, who's a Bram Stoker nominee, who's also a huge goth guy. So if you want to like, you know, uh, you know, friend request Benjamin Adams, he's a beautiful guy. Jasper Bark is a Splatterpunk award-winning author, and he gave us a what do you call it when it's like exclusive story because he just believes in it, right? And so where am I going with this? So, Collective Paw has become much more than just a anthology. It's become something I think every one of us who's involved with the project feels that it's something much bigger than any of us, and it's something that is almost speaks to a kind of a collective tipping point in consciousness, where we realize that that's the whole idea of excluding people based on, gender or sexual orientation or, the kind of your fashion you like, or especially like with goths, constantly picked on for being, and there's that. Have you seen the most recent video for Every Day is Halloween by Ministry?
Most recent.
I haven't
Not the most
seen,
recent,
not the
the
most
most
recent, no.
Okay, just
Oh wait, maybe was it with a bunch of different like kind of people and they were all
yeah,
dancing around? Yeah, I've seen it actually.
yeah,
It's
it's
pretty good.
great.
Okay.
Like the freak, like
Yeah,
always
all the
they're
freaks.
all
It's
freak,
like the Addams family, we're all kind of like, and well, they pick
all
on
the
us, but
freaks.
we're
Yes.
awesome, right? And I think it's kind of like Collective Paw, the dark wave people, goths and horror people, and neurodivergent people, we're all kind of, we're all attracted to each other, and it's produced this incredible thing. And I don't even know where it's going, but I mean, just look at that. It's so beautiful. It's like this, you know,
Yes.
right? Like it just makes you happy. And we did so many anthologies that were kind of grim, but this one was kind of like a signaled a change and to a kind of a more, maybe a gentler version of what we do. And we're still going to be horror, it's still going to be great scary stories, to tell in the dark, but it's going to be much more pawist. So I would love to have, you know, for Collective Paw 2, if this is open to all of you, if you have any animal type of lyrics or poetry or stories or just
We have a
talking
wolf
about,
song coming out, a song that's about werewolves coming out.
Yes.
So
for example,
Yes.
for example.
Exhibit A.
Yes.
That's amazing. So it's like I kept thinking about how, not only is, animals are so much intrinsic part of our lives, but they're also a really huge part of goth and specific animals, almost like maybe cliches a little bit, like, wolves and crows and ravens and werewolves and, um, what kind of animals do you think there's any animals that's like that's not goth? Like if you were to like that's definitely not a gothic
An
kind of
animal that's not goth, you said?
yeah,
Fluffy
yes.
bunny.
I feel like bunnies are gone. I don't know.
They're easy prey.
I just think of Donnie Darko. So
Donnie
Oh
Darko,
yeah.
right? The rotting bunny and Donnie Darko, right? Or
think about bunnies. Like, remember that book? Like, what was it called? Bunnyacula.
Bunnicula.
Bunnicula.
I used to have Bunnicula, yes.
That was that vampire bunny who like sucked the celery. That was the kid or
It
was
was
that?
carrots and it had little puncture wounds.
Bunnies
and
are
carrot.
god. I mean,
Bunnies are,
You're right. Okay, you're right.
they can easily sway that way.
I stand corrected.
cats are god.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs
Oh,
are
most
very
magical
good.
words.
Cats very goth.
Cats are the most goth for sure. Ooh,
Bears are god.
Bears
The
are
sharp
god.
teeth, claws.
Scary.
Yeah, scary small bear show. So okay, so what was I just thinking? So witches. Let's talk about witches, right? Witchery is often associated with goths, most famously the craft. Um, do you have any beliefs or any practices that are, of the occult or paganism or
During like the equinoxes, solstices, definitely do like some kind of prayer, blessing, like ritual kind of for that. I do that for
For me, yeah.
everyone for sure. That's about the extent of it for me. But yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Very into like meditation, like searching astral projection. Like I delved a lot into it as I was younger and kind of took the pieces that were more appealing to me. And I'm also very into like paranormal.
Yeah.
oh, interesting.
Well, I will
Cool.
not
Yeah.
touch a Ouija board.
Yeah.
No,
Into it, yeah, with boundaries. Limits and boundaries. Yeah.
This is my friend well, we're not really, it's complicated, but Karen Crisis from Gospel of the Witches, and she did a cover of Stay Away from Captain Howdy for the Strangeland soundtrack, and it's just like
Oh,
just
okay. I'm
reminded
only
me
vaguely.
the actually, oh my God, it sounds like I'm bragging, but this is just my life. I'm a music journalist. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I was backstage with I think it was like the Troubadour or one of those clubs, maybe the Whiskey, right? And I was wearing a shirt from the Genitorturers. You remember the Genitorturers?
yes,
Yes.
torturers.
Okay,
So I
Genitorturers.
think so we do have to, because the place that we are currently
Okay.
existing in is going to be closing
Closing?
somewhat soon.
Okay,
So
so
we have
I
to kind of
will.
wrap pretty
Okay,
soon
so
here.
we can
Sorry.
we can totally wrap. So
Yeah.
so uh where can people find you on social media?
We're on
And
Instagram, the Elder Goths. We have a Facebook page, but really we're on Spotify, Apple, like all streaming platforms. We are available. Bandcamp,
Pandora, Amazon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, basically
Yeah.
all the streaming platforms. The Elder Goths, the is comes first. That's an easier way to find us. You can in Google try the Elder Goths music, Cleveland. It's a good way to search for us.
On YouTube, it's also there as like singles that are listed there, like topic, and it'll say the Elder Goths, and our singles are listed.
Yep.
okay. For some reason,
primarily
I
stream.
couldn't find anything, but I guess you have to just like the Elder Goths and Elder Goths and
Yeah, people, it's like it's tricky because Elder Goth is the whole thing.
It
So
is.
like,
Right,
you know,
right.
kind of get like we're not that popular. We're just starting off. We kind of get
Yeah.
belted in.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do.
But there's ways if you put like
If you
Cleveland
search it in the-
music band that could help.
And it'll bring us up.
Okay, great. Well, I had a really, really good time and you know, you're always welcome to come back if you have something to promote and to be on our show again. And I like to kind of have, you know, throw together, you know, complimentary guests. So, you know, if we have any kind of, you know, gothy writers, I would certainly love to have you on board that. So really had a wonderful time. And I will, if you send me an address where I can send you, you know, then we can you know, um, you know, if you could like take some selfies with the collective paw, that would
Sure.
be amazing. You know,
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time too. We
Yeah,
had a great time
great.
talking to you and hearing your stories and like your
Yeah.
experiences.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
oh,
I'm glad that it
of course. I'm, you know, I'm very, very happy to, you know, to host you. So, okay, so
Let's
I'll
do it
be,
again in the future.
let's
Yeah.
do it again. Yeah, definitely. And I will be uploading this to YouTube. So it should be pretty, you know, available pretty soon. Then I'll tag Gina. So then you know, and then I'll also send you the link to the YouTube.
Great. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much,
Okay.
Alex.
Thank you so
you.
much. Could we
Great
have
to meet
like
you.
like a squeezins? Like okay, a goth
What are we
squeeze.
doing?
I'm
Yeah.
doing the best.
This is great. So it's a natural, it's a combo of like the, you know, the corpse vampire thing and the a squeeze. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. Okay. Oh wow, that's amazing. Okay, okay. You take care.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.